start and teach a new batch of kids everything you guys have figured out. All right, so 725. Let's start on 725, and then we can go back to 724 if we need. So 725, since it was last night's homework. Yes. Sorry, guys, Fridays are weird because I have zero planning time on Friday because we go forum straight into our 7th grade team meeting and then straight into teaching. It's like I texted my friend this morning at 8 o'clock, and for him, that's early. I said, sorry, it's early, but as soon as I start teaching, things are crazy. Like, as soon as we dive into the day, it just goes. Yeah, the news video this morning was interesting. Hey, so I have not assigned any Desmos yet. So if you're on your computer, you can kind of shut your monitor halfway, or like put your screen halfway shut. Ooh, somebody didn't craft their line yet.
Yeah, I didn't have time.
So the other reason that I'm kind of debating what we do today is we are missing people, like a fair amount of people. Because we're missing Lily, we're missing Max K still. I'm not sure where Max Wright went to.
Same thing happened last week, though.
Yeah, but Max didn't feel well last week, and then he got sent home because of COVID. But he didn't have COVID, he just had a headache. He had enough symptoms that it hit it.
Well, like, a lot of symptoms lead to COVID.
Wait, I have a question on...
I have more papers to hand back. Aw, Patrick.
No, that's Patrick right there. Right back home. Yes.
At least I think. Alright, scrolling down. And that's the other reason why I recorded classes. Nevin, what's up? What were what? I don't even remember, but Math 7 didn't do all that great, so it was kind of easy to tell that you guys won. I can tell you real easily, there were only 4 of you missing your homework. So, what? Sweet. Just double checking because today's schedule's weird.
I was helping the art teacher had when you were doing painting. And
Dude, I just didn't want to start class without you. So you're good. Just grab a seat, get your stuff out. And because we're going to Desmos today, probably. So, any issue with the diamond problems? Because now we're using decimals for stuff. Any issues finding slopes? The trap door on 86 would be remembering that you have 2 widths and 2 lengths.
oh,
So 2W plus 2L, and then we're going to replace the length with that other expression of double the width plus 5. Sadly, I don't know if I do have any baggies. It's a little been through better things.
oh, it's better than
All right, any questions? 725. Going once. Going twice. Max, I assume if you have questions, you'll just ask me at math lunch or whatever. Because the only thing you've missed so far is us checking the homework, but this was last night's homework, right? All right, anybody need to see 724 again or have any questions on that? Because some of you still owed me that. 7 of you, to be precise. So, real quick before we can Desmos, we need to make sure that yesterday's lesson made sense. So, what do you need every day? Graph paper. So, if you have yesterday's graph paper, you can get that out. You have no idea what graph paper is? Wow, we need to do something. Are you gonna like join the game that we're all playing together, or are you just gonna sit here and stare at your computer clothes? Like that's what I want to get on graph paper and you're just kind of chilling.
Oh! My grandma's
Maximilian.
Okay.
Why is it a math mushroom? That's what I wanted to
That
know.
was not the math mushroom.
Oh, that's so cool.
See? That's the math
You should
mushroom.
draw like a bigger one and color it, and like I can put it up on my wall. And I love that you're wearing an MTV shirt.
Wait, Mr. Hudson, are we playing a fun game?
Well, I don't know what is fun.
Fun is something that invites joy by breaking thy mold.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I find it fun to solve math problems. So I mean, fun is all relative.
But what are we doing?
Well, you'll find out in a minute. Right now we're
But I'm
doing.
special!
Right now we're doing work on graph paper.
I'm special.
Well, right now what you're doing is making less time for Desmos because we're spending time doing this. If Beth and her father, I have lost my coffee cup. Oh, there it is. If Beth and her father have a large, model railroad in their basement, and Beth figures out the equation that 260 thirds times x relates the length of an item on her model railroad to the length of the real thing. Where, and I kind of wish this didn't have it, I debated covering it up. When we see equations like this, so on your paper, go ahead and write down y equals 260 over 3 times x. When we see equations like this, we should be able to derive what is what from the equation. And by that, I mean when you see y equals 260 over 3 times x.
Oh, time there.
When I plug something in for x, let's imagine x is like 2 or 3 or 10, whatever you want to make x, will y be bigger or smaller than x? Y is bigger, right? Because this 260 times 3 is definitely more than 1. It's a really big number. So we know that y is bigger than x, so we could rewrite this as the actual is 260 over 3 times what?
Hold on there a sec. I'm confused. What does actual stand for?
Like so we have a model railroad. My model railroad is not real. The actual train.
The real train.
The actual train.
I thought it was like a statement of math things, and I'm not.
So the 260 times 3, instead of just saying x here. Hey Jordan, what you doing, man? Yeah, pull your screen down halfway. You can't resist the temptation.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Times? Isn't it divide?
No, well, we multiply by x. This is division, yes,
Yeah,
but
you
we
say
multiply by...
260 times 3. You do.
Okay,
Is it
well,
divide?
okay, my bad.
Okay, I was just making sure.
260
Say
thirds.
No,
So let's just go, what is this as a
happened?
decimal? Somebody do this for me. What's 260 divided by 3?
86.6.
86.6. I don't like writing down lots of sixes, it scares me. Because 666 is the number of the devil. Supposedly. I don't know. There's some writing that talks about, I don't think it's even just the Bible. Well, that's a lie. Because your calculator wants to lie to you. Because division by 3, Brenda, division by 3, if it's not clean, we know it repeats forever. Because remember, 1/3 is 0.3 forever, 2/3 is 0.6 forever. So this is why I use the repeating bar. That's more accurate, right? We want to be more accurate. So we need to figure out what is the scale of Beth's uncle's railroad in his house. Max, you with me?
Yep, sorry.
Because you're not looking this way and you're talking to Brenda, so it feels like you're not with me. So, if Beth's uncle's railroad has this information for us, well, a model railroad set has it's like a diorama in a way, right? You build it to have everything. It's got the station and the people and the trees and the whatever. Use this data to try to figure out what is the constant of proportionality. Did we talk about this yesterday? I don't think we did, so this is why I'm bringing it up.
You did not.
This, I shouldn't highlight that in green because that does not go with the green. This, we yesterday talked about having the name, or being called a coefficient, right? A coefficient is a number that's multiplying by a variable, right? But this, when we talk about it as slope in a proportional relationship, we actually call it the constant of proportionality. Fancy way to say slope. Figure out what it is for Beth's uncle's railroad. Have at it for a minute. Like, talk with each other, see what we need to do. What would you do? Figure out what the constant of proportionality is for Beth's uncle's railroad using one of these. So you really, essentially, you have to figure out what divides by what and then set it up in an equation. It might be real helpful if you write this down again, which you should have from yesterday. That y equals y over x times x. And that makes sense to us. Because if you take y divided by x and multiply by x, you get y. Why? Because math.
I knew that was coming.
What did we call y here? The actual or the model?
The actual.
The actual. So if we're trying to set this up, y over x is going to be actual over the model. So the equation that we'll write here for Beth's uncle, none of these numbers are nice.
Yeah, that's
Sure,
what I did.
300 over 4.7. Now I could actually make this 3,000 over 47 if I wanted whole numbers, but nah, let's just use what they gave us. Times x. Now is where we have to think critically. Whose model is bigger? Talk with your team. Whose model is bigger? Up here for Beth's model, we found this out.
Seriously? Yes. And if you get older, I mean,
Both
don't-
Beth and her
Okay,
father.
on that.
I think when we do this division, I think we get 63.8.
Yeah,
Yeah,
round.
and it's 8 and 2 9. It's like 63.8.
Ooh, this is a great time for some random cards. What class are you?
One that one. Wait, what about our prize?
All right, we got to talk about that, but probably next week because I doubt I'll have enough time today to do everything we need to do. I'll probably just make a survey for you guys to take of what you want to do for your prize. Anna, what do you think? Is Beth's model bigger or is her uncle's model bigger? Sure. You can always pass. Nevin, do you want to defend why? Okay. Keep talking.
If the height of the real object was, let's say, 1 inch, then it would be 86.6 inches.
Hey guys,
Or
can you answer the question that Evan's answering? Because if not, you should be listening to Nevin. And even if you can, you should see if your answer is the same as his. Sorry, Nevin, continue.
okay, I lost myself.
Yeah, sorry. I was really distracted by other people talking, and my bad, because then I'm probably the reason that you lost your thought.
Oh,
The at Jake?
I can help. Because 86, like you said, it was 1 inch, and then he did 86.6 inches. And then if it was 1 inch for this uncle, it'd be 63.8 inches in real life. So then that means it would
Pause. Careful with what you're saying. Because you've said a couple things that are not, well, You've said things that are true, but I think you're applying them in the reverse way. And here's what I mean. We go outside, over to the train tracks, and we measure a train engine. Max, how big do you think a train engine is? I know, I can tell you're doodling, so I'm going to...
Did you say the or a?
A. Give me, like, how long you think a train car or engine or something on the train is.
I think it's about, let's say about 4 Brenda's long.
That's a small train. You know how big a real train
Say
is?
how big a car is.
Like train car.
Okay.
I mean, anything is a unit of measurement, so if we want to talk in Brendas, you can use Brenda as a unit of measurement.
That would be about...
A cubit, in case you guys haven't known this, a cubit is literally the length from here to here. So, yeah, a cubit is not a standard, like, a cubit is your length from here to here. No, yeah, literally it changes depending on who you're talking to.
3 3/4 elephants.
No, remember baby elephants too.
Jake, your computer's open. Google how long is a train engine. Write down these two equations kind of beside each other. Y equals 86.6x, y equals 63.8x.
Wait, can we use the Chubby Bunny Kitty method on this?
No, I'll show you why in a second. Like, I'm not saying no just to say no. It wouldn't work here. 86.6.
It's 76 feet and 76 feet.
76 feet. So, if the actual train car is 76 feet, where would that go? Is that the X or the Y?
So that's a Y.
That's the Y. Take
But
76
why is it
feet.
the Y?
Take 76 feet. Plug it in for each of these Y's and solve for how big would that train engine be on the model.
But how can we get X?
That's what I'm asking you to figure out.
Oh.
Talk with your team. Only if it's a question, not if it's an answer. Duh.
I sort of
You sort of kind of thought about it? Good. That's what I'm asking you to do.
I thought it was what they were saying, but then I realized.
Well, I haven't said who's right or wrong here yet of which one's bigger. But if I plug in 76 feet over here, and if I plug in 76 over here, and yes, it should be feet, but I can lose my labels for a minute while I'm solving stuff, as long as I put my labels back on. Because my label might change, actually, through my solution process, sometimes depending on what I multiply or divide with. How, Jake, well, never mind, I'll skip you unless you have figured it out now. Do you know how to isolate X here?
No, I have a question.
Okay.
How can the X thing be bigger than the Y?
It's not.
But 80.
Grant, do you know how to isolate X? Because I see you calculating back there.
Right?
No, Grant. Sorry, I saw you on a calculator. Do you know how we could get X alone here? It's fine if you want to pass, but I need you to say something. Do you know? Do you hear me talking to you? Okay. Do you want to pass or do you want to help me out? Okay. Spencer, do you know how we can get X by itself? Sure, this is a safe place for ideas. Throw it out there. Guys, I hope we have these written down because it seems like we're kind of struggling to get over this hump, which is fine, but make sure you have these written down. Or 86.6, right? So depending on which equation we're looking at, Spencer's absolutely right. X is attached by multiplication. We want to divide to get just one X, like what Max showed us yesterday, because this makes a giant 1. And we want 1X.
We're so sorry. I'm so sorry.
So on Beth's uncle's railroad, his model, when we do this division,
1.19 is rounded.
but on Beth's railroad, divide by 86.6, divide by 86.6. Oh, I think this is going to be less than 1.
It is 0.87.
Or, so wait, whose model is bigger?
His uncle. Her uncle.
The uncle. Guys, this is a trap door. All because the slope is bigger doesn't mean that that end object will actually be bigger. Because this is relating the actual, the real train engine is 86 times the model. Versus the real train engine is 63 times the model, which actually means this is bigger. The model is bigger, right? Because it multiplies by less to get up to the real thing. Max? Huh? I don't know about a cajillion Brendas, but it's a lot of Brendas probably.
I'm 5'4", so...
Yeah.
Let's calculate
Let's
this.
math it up.
Bum, bum. We probably don't need to do that. We'll practice that next week. How long do we have? Yeah, we might as well. Pull up Desmos. I have not assigned it yet, so you'll need to wait just a second. Okay, smart Alec, refresh your page. But wait, your friends thought you went home because they had to make up a story because you were gone and they were concerned. And I knew what you were doing. They were trying to tell me you went home, and I was like, no, you didn't. And they're like, yes, he did. And I was like, no, he did not.
Yes, he did.
Said Patrick got asked to help people. Did you recruit some good students for us? Did you tell the bad ones to stay away?
They were literally like
Half of them were what? Oh, because it's like their breakfast or like zero period. I mean, if I had Pop-Tarts, I would eat them. So everything you missed is recorded. The biggest thing is that there was a trap door that made us think that this situation was gonna be bigger because the slope was bigger, but it was actually the reverse of that because when we plugged in the actual length of a train engine, and then this was the biggest thing you missed. If we're trying to isolate x from an equation, we need to divide because this coefficient is trying to multiply, and to stop that, we divide it. But we talked about that yesterday because Max showed us that we make a giant 1. Right? When we do that, we make a giant 1.
Everyone, again, I am sorry.
I don't know why you're apologizing. I also don't know why you guys don't like the giant 1. I think it's just because it's like a lame nickname.
Why don't you like it?
I think what you don't like is that it's like a frou-frou nickname. Alright, so here's the deal with this Desmos. Because we're moving at a decent pace. We're moving at a decent pace. Yeah, I know. I just paused the people who have already started because then you're not listening. What I'm asking you to do in this Desmos is not an 8th grade standard. It is not something you have to master. However, it relates exactly with what we've been doing with graphing lines and slope and y-intercepts. So, the activity that you're going to end up looking at, I'm going to unpause so that people can keep logging into it. Hey, hands off keyboards for a second, Gus. The activity you're going to end up looking at is called point collector, and what you are trying to do, sorry, it won't let me get back to the original one. How? What you are trying to do, you read the directions, and it says collect some points, aim for a high score. Hint, drag the purple. These are your purple points. We can move these points around. Okay, so as you go through, read the directions. And right now, at least one person has a higher score than me. Okay, so read the direction. I do not want to hear people saying, I don't know what to do, unless you've read the directions and you're actually trying something. Okay? I do not expect you to master this, but it is a really fun, challenging activity. If you're tied for the high score, it'll probably tell you that you have the high score, but you might be tied.
Boy, do you not want to get red points?
Ooh. That minus is the score. So red points we could kind of say are negative.
I have the highest point. Yep. I have the highest score. I don't know if there's a score higher. Yeah. Four's the max.
Yeah, four's the max.
Man, you guys really like ruining the movie. Will Smith dies at the end.
What movie? Or Will Smith. I feel bad. He dies a lot.
Right? Actually, I don't know if he dies in any movie. That's kind of why I made it the joke. So you guys said 4 is the high score?
Yeah.
Do you think there's any way that I could not get those red points?
Yeah.
Only some.
I broke it.
Guys, I can spin this in circles.
I broke it. It doesn't want to.
What's your score?
Wait a second.
Crap, to get the other blue point, I have to hit the other red point.
Why is it a line now?
Make sure you're reading the directions. Interesting. Whoa! Anyone want to explain why they chose what they chose here? Brenda?
I chose the one with the bottom left corner because it's the only one with the y being less than x plus 2.5.
Careful, this is greater than, actually. Y is greater than. Remember, the gator eats the bigger number. Amelia, which one did you choose and why?
I chose the bottom right one because it's the only one without a fraction.
Ooh, it's the only one that doesn't use a fraction. Anna, what'd you choose and why?
Well, I chose the top left because it has, like, the inequality has, like, a line under.
Oh, it has the or equal under it. Ronald?
I chose the top right because it's the only one that I constant.
Ah, the top right is the only one that is proportional, right? It doesn't have a plus or minus out here. So, guys, you could have chosen any of these and made a reasoning for why. Why? Why?
We're just gonna keep doing those jokes.
Look, I love jokes about why. Oh, today is National One-Liner Day, just by the way.
What does that mean?
Oh.
It's like when a joke only needs one line.
Like a pun, basically. Or at least that's how I think. I wonder if they have like a video of them like
What? How have I collected info?
Ours the highest score.
Now we use algebra. Okay.
So, a one-liner is like, my wife told me to stop impersonating a flamingo. I had to put my foot down.
What?
I went to buy some camouflage pants, but I couldn't find any. I failed math so many times at school, I can't even count.
I got 4. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Wait, what?
Mr. Hudson,
I used to have a handle on life, but then it broke.
Mr. Hudson,
Are you
are
looking
now
this up?
describing my health.
I think, are you literally looking him up right now?
When life gives you melons, you might be dyslexic. That's a good one.
That's just sad.
That's weird.
What? It's a diagnosed disorder. It's not like you're like calling somebody a name. If you mix up numbers or letters, that's dyslexia.
How do you
Guys, remember you are trying to get the blue points and not get the red points.
How do you make it just curve a little?
How do you make it curve? I don't know. We haven't learned that yet.
Oh, I know now.
What?
I'm really worried you're going to inhale your mask one of these times.
Oh, yeah.
We all just keep having aha moments.
So here, I'll show you some of what's happening. See, this is what I'm trying to remind you guys. Don't collect the red points. That's a lot of red points down there. I almost feel like all of those red points make it so the blue points down there aren't even worth
I
it.
got 4 points.
I got you. Can you go to 4?
On what?
Slide 4?
On slide 5. I got 10 points on slide 5.
Do you want me on slide 4 or warm up 4?
On slide 4, I got 8.
I got 10.
How did you get 10?
I got 10 too.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Hey, do not tell people what to do. You can give them some suggestions, but also here we can kind of scroll down through and look at what, so here I don't want to click on it because then it'll show you the equation, but if you can make your line, would this be a positive slope or a negative slope?
Hey, you can see it on the right.
That'd be a negative slope, well, when you connect the name, dang it. Didn't mean for you guys to see the name with the person. I think if I click on this, it's going to show you their equation. Yeah, that's the problem. See, these are for me to look at. They're not meant for you to look at. But if we do a negative slope, and can miss all those red points, right? Because as I edit my slope, it's going to change what things look like. Negative will point me downward. Here, we'll do this so that when we're not looking at Desmos, people can just look at my YouTube. Guys, I'm almost to 320. I'm at 319.
That's impressive.
Okay, I'll subscribe. I've already subscribed. Actually, I don't know.
Guys, I used to be addicted to the hokey pokey, but then I turned myself around.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson.
Wait, Mr. Hines?
Wait.
I was thinking about that joke.
What? I got a Mr. Hudson wait, but what am I waiting for? Grant, what am I waiting for?
Wait. I think I might. Okay, sorry. I might be already subbed to your channel on my school account, but I'll try one on my private account. Me too.
For what? Oh, to subscribe. Just do the Desmos right now. Don't worry about that. Hey, Jake, are you actually engaging in this? Because your answer on warm-up 3 seems like you didn't really, try very hard.
I didn't know. Yeah, I actually tried. I don't know how.
Actually, I'm trying to find where your screen is.
I have a higher score than you.
So, I do like what you did with collecting all the points on the right, but is there a way to get those 2 points on the left? And I just showed you guys, what if you make the slope negative?
There is.
Go back and play with the negative slope. So, I'm complimenting that Jake realized if I make a really steep slope, it'll get all these points. And it'll avoid all the red points. But I'm pressing him to try harder and get these points also.
You can.
Right? Because you can, right? We know we can.
I am so confused how to do 4.
Good. Confusion happens right before learning. Warm-up 4? Are you talking about warm-up 4, dude?
I did it. Well, almost.
I would rather miss this bottom part because there's a lot of reds down here and not very many reds up here. Ha! My score is -2.
Wow.
I'm not very good.
I have
Alright, time for me to walk around and make sure we're all doing what we should be.
Mr. Hudson, I was going to tell a joke about a pencil, but it's pointless. I should have erased it from my memory.
Bro, I told you that made it.
No, that was my brother.
I have a high score. Let's go. For what? Challenge 1.
Ooh, this is...
Oh. I'm not very good at
The easiest time to add insult to injury is when you're signing someone's cast.
Wait, what?
When you're signing someone's cast. 2 fish are in a tank. One turns to the other and says, "How do you drive this thing?"
Sounds like you don't have a joke book.
Well, I used to.
Or I thought I did. Mr. Hudson, ignore my drawing. I can't draw. On slide 6, ignore my drawing. I forgot touchscreen.
My score just -9. Look at this.
Oh, this last one? Wait, are you
Guys, I forgot touchscreen. Now I can go color so much easier.
If a parsley farmer gets sued, can they garnish his wages? Did nobody get that?
No.
That's so weird. Bro, put the negative down.
Whoa. Hold on, Nevin. You're doing some witchcraft, man. Sorry, Nevin's was the first that I saw. So you're anonymized again because I'm recording and I don't want to put your first and last names up here if I can avoid it. So Nevin did some sort of witchcraft here and like limited his graph to a certain space. So I'm thinking this has something to do with something.
I did pretty much assume.
So he's on warm-up 4. So Colin, if you want to go try it, this was on warm-up 4. Gene Springer. I don't know who Gene Springer is, but well, they're a famous mathematician, but I don't know whose this is. But they did the same sort of thing, but they kind of cut it off and made it like a box in a way. Diana Ma. Ooh, how is it not getting these points at the top, even though it looks like it's going through them?
What are those little things with the parentheses? I'm trying to find them.
Because you're not allowing y to be 2. So here they're saying y stops at 2, but it does not equal 2. Right? That's why these points aren't getting hit, because, and that's good because there are more negatives up here than positives. So they said, yeah, I don't want the points at 2. I'll take the other points. But these points are getting hit. Interesting. Pay attention to when you get points hit and when you don't get points hit. Interesting. Some cool stuff going on.
Oh, hello.
So I think we'll get more points if we try to strategize something like this to not collect the red points. Nevin might have the highest score right now. Yeah, you do. Boom. Highest score so far. Did you just copy what he had from the board?
No, I.
You did it yourself? Sweet. Spencer? Who are you? On slide 3 or warm? What are you talking? Warm up 3? You are who? Arhelia? This person? Sorry, there's a lot of famous mathematicians. This? Oh, there we go. Whoa! See, the problem is if we don't know, like, do we know what in the world sine does? This is the problem with doing something like this, is it's hard to understand how this happened.
I'm having a hard time with most of these because I'm confused on how to make it work. Wait, I did.
That's the point. So, I like what you're doing with getting creative, but if we don't know how to modify this, it's kind of hard to work with. Right? So I'm a little afraid to touch any of this because I think I'm going to break the entire thing.
Dude, that's only for you.
But like, if I was you, I mean, right? Like, if I typed in all that crap, if I typed in all that stuff, right? X, X, Y, 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 sine, what? Like, I don't quite know how to edit that. This seems a bit like we are starting to understand what's going on here. This says X is allowed to be less than 7, but it's only allowed to be less than 7. I don't know if that matters here, though, because we don't even get out to an x of 7. But then they say y is less than 5. So, guys, it cuts off our graph at where y is 5. Right? It cuts our graph off here. That's why. Because they limited that y has to be less than 5.
Me too. No, we're on Tom 7.
I don't know why I'm doing that. I can just do this, and then you all get mad at me. I love that you are thinking about that commercial. I'm going to leave this open through the weekend, and really probably till the end of forever. But, like, I'm going to unpause it. We only have, like, a minute of class left. I'm going to unpause it. But, guys, again, please do not do this in other classes. Then you'll ruin it for the rest of the year, and I won't be able to leave activities open. Right? Other teachers will tell me I need to pause them. It's like, if you go to your next class and you pull out your computer and you start doing Desmos instead of what you're supposed to do, you're going to mess it up for everybody.
Or just reading.
Which, warm up 4, slide 4, what are you talking about? Slide 4, who are you? Mary Winston? Ooh!
Oh, wait. No.
You have the highest score.
It's the next one.
You're not Mary.
I am. It's the next slide.
Hey, so one thing to pay attention to here. Maddie did this, and she's like dancing the line of danger because she's right by these negative points. But because her line does not equal, I think that has something to do with it. That these points aren't getting grabbed because they aren't being included, right? The edge of our graph is not included. And then she asked me to show her next one. Whoa, Maddie! This is sweet! She like made her graph into a trapezoid, or a parallelogram, actually. So she gave it a slope, she gave it a y-intercept, but then she limited that y had to be under another line. Wait, so you made 2 lines. Oh, so Maddie's showing us we can make more than 1 line. She said, hey, I'm going to graph above this line, right, more than this line, but I'm going to go below this other line. This is sweet. Good work, Maddie. Have a great day, guys.
See ya.
Which one is that? I don't want to show people's full names on the video. I could just pause the video, I guess. Wherever my pause button went to.